And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I believe that most people in general have a high level of disdain for terrorists. And in this game, you are the good guys. You are the bomb squad. Terrorists have come and they've captured hostages and set bombs up to blow up in buildings. Well, you can stop them. You're going to use trusty robot that you are going to cooperatively as a team program this robot, send this robot in to disarm bombs and open doors and free terrorists and do other sorts of heroic actions, and hopefully you will win or you will lose together. Let me show you. Here's the board that I set up thanks to looking at mission number 1 in this top secret book. It's not really top secret. These are just all the different missions that you can do, and you can see some boards are bigger than others. There are plenty of boards here provided with different double-sided areas. You have more frame pieces to make the frame bigger. You have different robots. Some robots are harder to use than others, and so you're going to have your robot. This is the robot that we're using in this one. This robot here is Felix. He's going to start at that door. You'll notice on the board there are different things here. You'll notice there's hostages and there are bombs. Hostages need to be freed. Bombs need to be disarmed. There's also doors here. The doors have different colors because you cannot open a door until you have freed a hostage of that color. So once I freed this red hostage, I can now open the red door. Once I freed a yellow hostage, there's one here and one here, I can go in that yellow door. And once I freed this blue hostage here, I can then go into that door there. Now, how does all this happen? Well, this happens through a cooperative style game in which players are going to be using a deck of cards here. Now, this deck of cards has colored cards that are red, yellows, and blues in there. There are move cards, which are going to let you move 1, 2, or 3 spaces, depending on the color. There are cards that let you open a door of a specific color. There are cards that let you disarm a bomb of a certain color. And there are cards that let you rescue a hostage of a specific color. Players are going to have a handful of these cards, but what makes this game unique-ish is that these cards, you don't get to see them. Your teammates will see what cards are in your hand, but you cannot look at your own cards. A player has 4 different actions that they can do on their turn. They can point to someone else's hand and give them intel. Like, for example, I could say, hey, Joe, you have 3 red cards. These 3 cards are red. Or I could say, these 3 cards are open doors. Or I could say, this card here is a bomb. This card here is a free hostage. These 2 cards are blue. Those are the different choices. So if 2 people give you intel in a row, for example, if I said, these 3 cards are red, and the next person says, these 3 cards open doors, you should remember that that is an open door card, a red one. So that's one of the things you can do, is you can give intel to other players. Another thing that you can do is you can discard a card, and before you discard it, you say, this is a red card. You flip it over, it is a red card, hooray! Or I'll say it's a rescue hostage card, it is! Or I can say it's a red rescue hostage card, it is! Or I can say it's a blue rescue hostage card. Well, I got the rescue part, but the blue is wrong. You have to get everything right. But if you do get the things right, then I can add energy to the robot's battery. So if I get one thing right, I move it up 1. If I get 2 things right, I'll move it up 2. This is a way to put your main battery to move it up, is by discarding cards for that purposes. I can also program the robot. I can take a card from my hand, I hope I know what it is, and place it down here in the robot's programming. If the robot's programming gets all the way to the end, the robot is immediately activated. Otherwise, a player can basically say, I'm activating the robot, and then they look at all the cards here. They can put these cards in any order they want, and then they will activate the robot. Now, in this case, I would hope that maybe there was a move card, so the robot could move 1. Diagonally doesn't matter here. And then hopefully you have someone else played another move 1 card, so they can move another one. And then hopefully the next person, someone else played a red hostage. Good, that guy's rescued. Now I can open the door, and someone else played another move 1 card. So I move 1 this way, and then someone else played another move 1 card. And so I move 1 this way, and someone played and opened the red door card. Hooray! We're doing really well so far. Now that's in a perfect world. If there's things you can't do, if you cannot do different things, you're going to waste battery energy. And depending on the number of cards that you use to activate the robot, you're going to spend that much battery. Now, your main battery starts with energy, and as I just showed you, it can be recharged. If your main battery runs out, you have to use the reserve battery, which can never be recharged. If both batteries run out, well, then you lose the game. Did I mention this whole thing is timed? Okay, so in this particular scenario, it's a 20-minute scenario. After the first 10 minutes, you time 10 minutes, this bomb is going to go off, and if you haven't disarmed it, you lose. If you do disarm it, then you have 10 more minutes to get to bomb number 2. And each scenario will have different aspects of them being timed and different things going off. Happily, players also can have special abilities that they're going to be able to use. So there's a bunch of different characters, and each player can take one of these characters. Like, for example, if this person does a play action, they may also perform a bonus give intel action. This person here, as their turn action, they can pay 1 battery to reveal a program card and get rid of it if they want to. This person can hold their cards where they can see them. Great! But then they can't recharge the robot. So that's kind of a negative thing. Here you can discard an additional card from the control frame when you activate on your turn. You may adjust the move distance of 1 move card by plus or minus 1 when activating on your turn. Because when you move on these move cards, you have to move the full distance. If I play a move 2, you have to move 2, and it has to be in a straight line. Now remember, you can reorganize the cards here as you want, but that can be problematic. And that's basically the game. You're going to be moving around, trying to free things, activating the robot, moving around and doing things. Whenever you discard a card or play a card here, you'll be drawing new cards, so you'll have to keep track of more information in your hand. And either players will all win by accomplishing the mission goals, or they will all lose. Well, first of all, you can see here that the artwork is the same artwork done by Flashpoint Fire Rescue and Police Precinct, so this makes it a trilogy of sorts, you know, the good guys. And I love the theme of this game. The theme is great. You are doing something powerful and strong and going in there. And the game comes with a lot of options to make it harder. I have not yet won this game myself, but I would imagine that if it got too easy, you could make it harder. Now, I've gotten really close to winning, but let's talk a little bit about the gameplay itself. Now, the cards facing other players. This is a very different thing than many people are used to, unless you've played the game Hanabi. Hanabi, which won the Spiel des Jahres a couple years ago. Very popular game. A lot of people really like it. Has the same aspect where your cards were facing everyone else and you cooperatively were trying to play them in a certain way. This takes Hanabi and ratchets it up a couple levels. One, by giving you kind of a thing to do with the cards. You are discarding them to increase energy, or you're playing them down to try to move a robot in a programmed fashion. And 2, it adds that time limit. Now, because of this, I think Bomb Squad is going to be an incredibly divisive game. There's going to be a good chunk of people who will hate it. I mean, absolutely despise it, because trying to work together cooperatively without knowing all the information and memorizing information that people have given you, doing that with the constraints of a time limit, which has in the game this ticking bomb that's about to go off, is going to be way too stressful for a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of people who don't like the time limit. There's going to be a lot of people who don't like the memorization thing. And in fact, I think there's a good chunk of people who play games in general who are just simply not going to be interested in this for one of those things, or because of the combination of those. Now, those who do not mind those, I think, on the other hand, are really going to love the game. It has a time limit, which means it's going to finish in a specific amount of time. It has a cool programmable robot movement, similar to Robo Rally. It has a good cooperative flair to it in the sense that if there's no alpha gamer, I can't tell everyone what to do, because you're not allowed to talk to other players except by giving them that information, by saying you have 3 red cards. I can't be like, although many times you'll want to. If I say you have 3 red cards, boom, 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 the next person says you have 2 disarm bombs. Hello, we've both told you together you have a red disarm bomb. Now play that thing. And that's where the game gets interesting, and it does have a strong thematic flavor as someone activates that robot and you're watching it move around. But you're constantly saying, okay, someone's got to keep that robot energy up. Somebody's got to, we got to play the right cards here. You're looking down and you're trying to memorize what cards have been played. You're trying to memorize what cards are in your hand. And I think, again, that's going to be too much memory for some people, especially with the time limits imposed. The game has a couple training missions to get you used to it, and you play those before you play with the special abilities, and those can be difficult to get through. So, did I like it? Yeah, I did. I don't know that I'd want to play it all the time because of honestly, the high level of stress that the game gives. And I would want to play it with a very specific groups of people who will be able to do the same thing. Because one person getting stressed out or just constantly making errors is going to kind of bum out the rest of the group if they can never remember where things are. I have a hard time remembering cards. Someone told me I have 3 red cards. Okay, those 3 cards are red, and then someone does that. Then I play a card. Okay, now wait a minute, I only have 2 red cards now. That can be kind of, and I'm doing this in a time frame. So the theme is great. The components are fine. I like the icons as artwork. It keeps it from getting too personal, like, oh, look at that hostage, we just killed a little girl. No, there's none of that. It's just, icons there. And I think the concept is unique. I mean, it did crib the basic concept from Hanabi, but it adds in this cooperative, and it's really cool. I'm just concerned that it's going to have limited appeal, right? There's only going to be a certain amount of people who play it. You ask me, I'll play it once in a while. I like it, but whew, all right, let's do something else now. Some people will want to play it consistently, and that's great. But realize what you're getting into, and if you do like it, the theme is really good and really powerful in this one. Certainly an interesting game. You should certainly maybe try it at least once to see what you think of it. Bomb Squad. Dice Tower Judgment, approved for a very select group of people.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!